Today, we're diving into a story about a decision that, honestly, goes against everything we're taught about success. It's a choice that starts not with the celebration, but with this quiet, creeping sense of total panic.
And it all kicks off with this number, $178,000. Now, this was the salary that came with a big promotion. The very goal our protagonist had been chasing, like relentlessly for 5 straight years. This was supposed to be the prize at the end of the race. But instead of feeling relief, it brought on something completely different.
You see, this wasn't a moment of joy. When he saw that offer, the feeling wasn't excitement. It was nausea. And the realization was just so stark. This promotion, it wasn't a reward. It felt more like a severance package for the life he wasn't even sure he wanted to live anymore.
So how did he even get here? A feeling like that doesn't just pop up out of nowhere, right? It was the result of a 5-year grind, a constant, relentless push to get to the next level on that corporate ladder.
And his climb was fast. Look at this. He went from a junior product manager in 2019 all the way up to a senior PM in just a few years. Each step up, each new title, it felt like proof that the grind was worth it. But with every single step up, another little piece of his life outside of work just got chipped away. These details, they actually come from his personal journal, which he called his War Room Journal. It's where he kept track of the real cost of his ambition. And the sacrifices were, well, they were specific. Nephew's soccer games on a Saturday? Missed for deep work. Friends? They just stopped calling. He even counted it. 217 lunches in a row, eaten at his desk. And the final blow? A relationship that ended with these heartbreaking words. You're not building a career. You're building a monument to your own anxiety. Oof. All of this, it all came to a head on one single sleepless night. After he got that $178,000 offer, he went home, but he just couldn't sleep. And what came next was a 3 a.m. reckoning that would completely change the course of his life. So there he is, lying awake, and he turns to a blank page in his journal. And he writes down one single, incredibly powerful question. He wasn't thinking about the fantasy version of his future, He wanted the cold, hard, honest reality. What would his life actually look like if he said yes to this promotion? This is what he wrote down, an hour-by-hour breakdown of what a typical Tuesday would look like in this new role. Waking up at 6:30 a.m. to Slack messages already pinging, working right through lunch to review documents, quick sync calls that somehow stretch past 7:30 p.m., and then finally going to bed with his phone volume turned all the way up, just in case. Always on. It was just a bleak, relentless cycle.
And just looking at that schedule he'd written out, the truth was just undeniable. This wasn't a promotion. It was a prescription for a life of burnout. A life he had been so laser-focused on getting that he never once stopped to ask himself if it was a life he even wanted. It was that moment of clarity that led him to a totally new philosophy, a different way of thinking about his career and what success really means. It's a framework he started calling quiet ambition. So, what exactly is quiet ambition? Well, it's a simple idea, but it's also pretty profound, and it really nails a feeling a lot of us are grappling with right now. It's about consciously saying, you know what, I'm opting out of the public scoreboard. You're ignoring the titles, the salaries, all that stuff. And instead, you're focusing on your own personal and often totally invisible metrics for what makes a life feel good. Think about it like this. Traditional, what we'll call vertical ambition, it's all about the metrics you can see. Your job title, how much you make, public praise. The whole goal is just to climb higher and higher. Quiet ambition, on the other hand, it shifts the focus to the invisible things, your time, the quality of your relationships, your mental and physical well-being. The goal isn't just to climb, it's to build a life that's actually sustainable and that you genuinely enjoy living. And here's the cool part. It's something you can actually do. It starts with this thing called the private metrics exercise. So take a second and think, what are your invisible success metrics? The kind of stuff that would never show up on a performance review, but that for you defines a good life. Maybe it's how many mornings you get outside before 9 a.m., or having real uninterrupted conversations with people you care about, or even just starting a creative project, purely for the fun of it. So what happened after this big realization? What does life actually look like when you decide to step off the ladder you've been climbing so hard for so long? Well, he walked back into his VP's office, and he said no. He used this exact line. He explained that he'd been so focused on climbing, he never stopped to ask if this was even the right ladder for him. And his VP's response was shocking. She didn't get mad, she didn't argue, she just said, "I wish someone had given me permission to say that when I was your age." Wow.
Fast forward 6 months after he said no. On paper, nothing had really changed. He had the same title, same salary. But in reality, his life was completely transformed. He started a podcast just for the joy of it. He started calling up old friends and actually reconnecting. He had the mental space for a new relationship. He read 18 books that had nothing to do with business, and he even ran a half marathon. He was finally living his life, not just managing.
In that whole experience, it revealed this really profound lesson. We're always told that success is about reaching the top, right? Getting to the next rung. But maybe true success is something way simpler, but also way more meaningful. It's just building a life that you don't feel like you need to constantly escape from.
So, I'll just leave you with this final question to chew on. Take a look at the ladder you're on right now. What are you climbing toward? And maybe, more importantly, when you get there, is it a place you'll actually want to be? It's a tough question, for sure, but answering it honestly might just change everything for you.